If you are retired and living in the United Kingdom right now, there is something happening with your local council that could be quietly draining hundreds or even thousands of pounds from your pocket every single year, and most people have absolutely no idea it is going on. Welcome to UK Property News, and I genuinely need you to stay with me for this one because what I'm about to share could save you a serious amount of money during what should be the most peaceful years of your life. This is not some scare story, this is real, it is legal, and it is affecting millions of pensioners and retired homeowners across England, Scotland and Wales right now as you are watching this. Here is what has been going on behind the scenes. While everyone has been distracted by headlines about whether council tax is going up by 3% or 5% this year, local authorities across the country have been quietly building an entirely separate system of fees, charges, premiums and levies that sit completely outside of your council tax bill. These are not hidden exactly, but they have been introduced so gradually and so cleverly that most people, especially those on fixed retirement incomes, have never sat down and added them all up. When you do add them up, the total is genuinely shocking. For some retired homeowners, these extra charges now amount to more than the council tax increase they were worried about in the first place, and every single one of these charges is completely legal. That is what makes this so frustrating. Now, before I go any further, if you are someone who cares about protecting your money during retirement and staying informed about what is really happening with property in the United Kingdom, I am going to ask you a small favour. Please hit that subscribe button right now and tap the bell icon so you never miss a video like this. I put out regular updates on everything that affects UK property owners and retirees, and I promise you the information on this channel could save you far more than you would expect. Subscribing is completely free and it helps this channel keep going so I can continue doing this research for you. Go on, hit subscribe now and let us carry on. So let me explain exactly how councils ended up in this position. For decades, the way local councils were funded was fairly simple and straightforward. Central government handed out grants, business rates were collected and shared around, and council tax filled in whatever gap remained. Councils did not have a great deal of freedom to go out and invent new ways of charging residents. If they needed more money, they had to go to Westminster and ask for bigger grants, or they had to push for a higher council tax band, and both of those things were politically visible, publicly debated, and often met with strong resistance from voters and taxpayers. But over the past 10 to 15 years, something dramatic has changed. Central government grants to local councils have been slashed, and I am not talking about a small trim here and there. Some councils have lost 60 to 80% of their central government funding. They have essentially been told to stand on their own 2 feet, to become financially self-sufficient, to find their own revenue streams, and to innovate their way out of trouble. And innovate they certainly have, but not in ways that benefit you as a homeowner or a retiree. What has emerged is something I would describe as a shadow taxation system. It operates entirely outside the main council tax framework. It is subject to far less public scrutiny or debate, and it has been carefully designed to extract the maximum amount of revenue from anyone who owns property. Let me walk you through the charges one by one, and I think you will be amazed at just how many there are. The most common one that almost everyone has encountered is garden waste collection. 20 years ago, if you cut your grass or trimmed your hedge and put the clippings in your brown bin, the council collected it as part of the service your council tax already paid for. Today, more than half of all councils in England charge separately for this. The typical annual fee sits somewhere between £40 and £70, but some councils are now charging well over £100 a year just to collect your garden waste. If you refuse to pay, your green waste simply sits there. You either have to compost everything yourself, drive it to the tip, or pay a private company. Councils say this is fair because not everyone has a garden, so why should flat dwellers subsidise garden waste collection? But here is the thing they never mention. When they introduced these garden waste charges, they did not reduce council tax for everyone else. They simply created a brand new income stream on top of what they were already taking. Bulky waste collection has gone down exactly the same road. If you need the council to pick up an old sofa, a broken washing machine or a mattress that used to be covered by your council tax, now nearly every council charges separately for it, typically between £20 and £50 per collection, and some charge per item rather than per visit. If you are a retired person clearing out a family home after losing a loved one, or if you are downsizing and need to get rid of furniture, you can easily face charges of £100 or more just to have the council come and take things away. Some councils have even introduced waiting lists of several weeks, which pushes people toward paying premium rates for a faster service or hiring private removal companies instead. Parking charges are another area where councils have become extremely aggressive. Resident parking permits that used to be free or cost £10 or £20 a year now routinely cost £100 or more in many parts of the country. Visitor permits have been monetised too, with some councils charging £5 or more per day just so your family or friends can park near your home when they visit. If you have a second car, the permit for that often costs double or triple the price. Some councils have even brought in emissions-based charges where older vehicles cost significantly more to park than newer ones. They dress it up as an environmental policy, but for a retired person who drives an older car because they cannot afford to replace it and who has no access to decent public transport, it is simply another bill they cannot avoid. Planning fees are another area that has seen enormous increases. If you want to build an extension, convert a garage, or make any significant changes to your home, the fees involved have rocketed. Beyond the official application fees, many councils now charge hundreds of pounds just for pre-application advice, which used to be provided for free. By the time you pay for the application itself, the pre-application meeting, and the discharge of conditions that comes afterwards, you can easily be looking at over £1,000 before a single brick has been laid. For a retired homeowner trying to adapt their property so they can continue living independently, perhaps adding a downstairs bathroom or widening doorways, these costs are a real barrier. Empty home premiums are one of the most aggressive charges that councils have introduced. If you own a property that has been empty for more than a year, councils can now charge 100% premium on top of the normal council tax, effectively doubling the bill. After 5 years, that premium rises to 200%. After 10 years, it goes up to 300%, and some councils are now authorised to charge 400% for properties that have been empty the longest. The stated aim is to bring empty homes back into use, which sounds perfectly reasonable. But the reality is that many empty properties are empty for reasons completely beyond the owner's control. Perhaps the property is stuck in probate while a family sorts out a deceased relative's estate. Perhaps the home needs major renovation work that the owner simply cannot afford to carry out. Perhaps it is in an area where there are genuinely no buyers. The premiums do not help solve any of these problems. They just punish people who are already in a difficult situation. Second home premiums are the latest weapon in the council's arsenal. In many areas, councils can now charge up to 100% premium on council tax for second homes, which means a property that would normally attract a council tax bill of £2,000 suddenly costs £4,000 a year. There is already talk of increasing this to 200%. Again, the argument about housing availability sounds fair enough on the surface, but think about the retired person who has inherited a small cottage from their parents and is trying to decide what to do with it, or the person who has to keep a property near a hospital where they receive regular treatment. These blanket charges do not distinguish between wealthy property investors and ordinary families dealing with complicated life circumstances. Then there are care costs, which are perhaps the most significant and least understood charge of all. If you or your partner need residential care or substantial home care support, the council will carry out a financial assessment, and that assessment now includes the value of your home in almost every case. A retired person who owns a house worth £300,000 but has very little in savings can be required to pay the full cost of their care, which can easily run to £50,000 or more per year, until their total assets fall below the threshold. The council can even place a legal charge against the property to make sure they recover the money when the home is eventually sold. This is not technically new, but the rules have been tightened significantly, and far more families are being caught by it than ever before. Licensing fees for landlords, street naming charges, inflated land search fees, premium charges for faster building control inspections, rising leisure centre admission prices, parking charges at parks that used to be free. All of these things have been introduced or increased in recent years, and every single one of them takes a little more money out of the pockets of property owners and retirees. Individually, each charge might seem small or justifiable. A few pounds here, a few tens of pounds there. But when you add them all together, the cumulative impact is enormous, and it has happened so gradually that most people have not noticed the full extent of it until now. So what can you actually do about all of this? First, Sit down and work out exactly how much you are paying to your local council across all of these different charges. Go through your bank statements, your direct debits, and your standing orders. Add up everything. You may well be shocked by the total. Second, check whether you're entitled to any exemptions or reductions that you are not currently claiming. There are discounts for single occupancy, exemptions for properties undergoing renovation, reductions for homes with disability adaptations, and various other reliefs that many people simply do not know about. Third, think carefully about whether you actually need every service you are paying for. If you can compost your garden waste, you might not need the council collection. If your visitors rarely drive, you might not need visitor parking permits. Some of these charges are avoidable if you are willing to make small adjustments. Looking ahead, I have to be honest with you, these charges are only going to increase. Councils are under more financial pressure than ever, and central government has made it clear that local authorities need to fund themselves. Road pricing schemes, workplace parking levies, tourism taxes, and infrastructure charges are all being discussed and piloted in various parts of the country. The old idea that local taxation should fund services for the whole community is being replaced by a model where every single service is charged directly to the person who uses it, and property owners are the easiest target because you simply cannot move your house to avoid the charges. This is exactly why I make these videos, and this is exactly why I need your support. If you found this helpful, if you think other retired homeowners and property owners in the UK need to hear this, then please subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that subscribe button, tap the bell, and share this video with anyone you know who owns property in the United Kingdom. The more people who understand what is happening, the better chance we all have of pushing back. Thank you so much for watching UK Property News. Stay informed, protect your wealth, and I will see you in the very next video.